This is one of the most controversial topic of all time. Before I start this video, let me clear one thing to you. This video is based on fact. If you are a person of strong religious belief who is not open for any new idea, then I highly recommend you to stop watching this video because your feeling might get hurt. Religion was an early attempt to answer the question we all ask. Why are we all here? Where did we come from? And the answer was always the same. God made everything because they didn't have any explanation. Science is giving explanation of many of these questions. I cannot say that science can answer all of these questions, not at least now, but we are getting there, slowly and surely. Nowadays, science provides better answer. Even if it's obvious, still people won't believe you. They always go to religion because it gives comfort, and they do not trust or understand science. If you go back in time, say 1000 years, and tell someone that I come from where we can fly or we can talk to each other thousands of miles away, they surely tell you that it's a miracle of God and only God can do that. But you know it's not. Hell, even Isaac Newton, as you know, who is one of the most influential scientists of all time, he believed in alchemy. That's right. He spent half his life muddling with alchemy, looking for the Philosopher's Stone. Philosopher's Stone is basically a mythical alchemical substance capable of turning base metal such as steel into gold. Way before Newton, Vikings believed that natural phenomena like lightning, storm, or eclipse is done by supernatural being. But now we can explain it by science. I prefer to think that everything can be explained by laws of nature. If you like, you can say that laws are the work of God. But that is more a definition of God than a proof of his existence. There was a time when people used to believe that Earth is the center of the universe, an ellipse caused by gods. But instead of believing this, philosopher like Aristotle asked the simple question, why? Then he studied this so-called God's work with deep thinking and reached on conclusion that ellipse was really the shadow of the earth passing over the moon and not the divine event. He was able to work out true relationship of the sun, the earth and the moon by drawing diagram. He deducted that the earth was not the center of the universe and stars are not gateway of heaven. He took it even further and said that stars were other suns like ours, only long way away. These are the greatest discovery of humankind. These we call laws of nature. These laws of nature are description of how things actually works in the past, present and future. These laws are unchangeable. They are universal. They apply from moving cars to moving galaxies and everything else in the universe. Unlike laws made by human, the laws of nature cannot be broken. That's why they are so powerful and from religion standpoint controversial too. Now ask yourself a question that what role is there for God? This is big contradiction between science and religion. One could define God as the embodiment of the laws of nature. However, this is not what most people would think of God as. When people say God, they mean a human-like being with great powers with one can have personal relationship and grant them wishes for more money, more power and peaceful life. And that seems more implausible. The one remaining area that religion can now lay claim is to the origin of the universe. But science is making progress in that and sooner or later we will have definitive answer. This kind of thing upset people. We don't ask for proof, we just believe. Let's give a little thought to this. If God is a human-like being and have this magnificent power and created us, then who created God? What dimension would he be in? Maybe there is a higher God who created our God. Then who created that higher God? And just ask a question and you end up with more question and more confusion. And from my point of view, whether or not God exists is a valid question. Now let's talk about universe. Despite the complexity and variety of the universe, surprisingly you only need three components to create entire universe. The first is matter. Stuff that has mass. Matter is all around us. The device you are watching this video, your shirt, walls around us, rocks, liquids, massive galaxies. The second thing you need is energy. We know what energy is. This is something we encounter every day. You look up at the sun and you can feel its heat on your face. Energy produced by stars millions of light years away. And the third thing we need to build the universe is space. Lot of space. So the question is, where could all this matter, energy and space come from? The answer comes from this man. Einstein realized that two of the main components, mass and energy, are basically the same thing. His equation E equal to mc square simply means mass can be thought of as energy and vice versa. So instead of three, we can say that the universe had just two components, energy and space. After decades of research, scientists found that space and energy were invented in an event we now call the Big Bang. So where did all this energy and space come from? Does that mean entire universe comes out of nothing? For some, this is where God comes back into the picture. It was God who created the energy and space. But science tells a different story. The great secret of Big Bang lies in one of the strangest facts about our cosmos. the laws of physics demands the existence of something called negative energy. So negative energy, what does that even mean? Don't worry, I'll walk you through this concept. Imagine you have a flat surface and you want to build a hill. The hill represents the universe. To make this hill, you need soil. So you dig a hole in the ground and uses that soil to make a hill. You're not only making a hill, but you are digging a hole as well. The stuff that was in the hole now become hill. So it all perfectly balance out. This is principle behind what happened at the beginning of the universe. When the Big Bang produced a massive amount of positive energy, it simultaneously produced the same amount of negative energy. In the way positive and the negative adds up to zero, it's another law of nature. Now, where is all the negative energy today? It's in the third component. It's in space. I know it sounds odd, but space itself is a vast store of negative energy. So what does that mean in our journey to find if there is a God? It means that if the universe adds up to nothing, then we don't need God to create it. Before you jump and ask that, who triggered the whole process in the first place? After all, things don't just come out of nothing. You cannot summon food whenever you feel hungry. You have to make it. And for that, you need stuff. But when we enter subatomic level, conjuring something out of nothing is possible, at least for a short period of time. In quantum mechanics, subatomic particles like proton really can appear at random and vanish again, reappear somewhere else. That means universe itself was once very small, perhaps smaller than proton. That means vastness and complexity of the universe simply pop into existence without violating the known laws of nature. From that moment on, a vast amount of energy were released as space itself expanded. But of course, a critical question is raised again. Did God create the quantum laws that allowed the Big Bang to occur? Well, we don't know, but science has a more compelling explanation than a divine creator. In the last decade, we have made spectacular advances in our understanding of the universe. Stephen Hawking suggested if we travel back in time toward the moment of the Big Bang. So now our current expanding universe getting smaller and smaller until it finally comes to a point where the whole universe is a space so small that it is in effect a single infinitesimally dense black hole. If you don't know about black hole, I made a separate video on that. Link is in the description below. Stephen Hawking said, time started at the instant of the Big Bang. Means there was no time for God to create the universe. But there's a little flaw in that argument, because Einstein's theory of gravity breaks down at the instant of the Big Bang. That's why he spent 30 years of its life chasing after higher theory. So we don't know what happened at the instant of the Big Bang. We have lots of hypotheses, but not solid evidence. Just like we don't have any solid evidence for a God. If there were any real evidence for a God, someone should have won the Nobel Prize for pointing that out. Many people say we have belief in a God, but what you believe is not knowledge. Belief is not evidence. I believe all religious books are just good stories, created by very smart people for people to maintain peace. But that is not happening right now. All the bad things done by religious leaders like this, they brainwash people. I don't have any problem with God or religion, but I do have a problem with these people. All believers say there is only one God. Argument among believers is a serious problem toward the existence of all loving, all caring God. Religious has to be removal of confusion. But show me a single book that caused more confusion than a religious book. If God is one, then why different religion? Why different religions have different kind of God? Why all believer wants their God to be on top? Why all this war happened for God's name? Why something allowed in one religion but not in other? Why isn't this all caring, all loving God makes everything clear to us, like show us who he really is? That will make everything clear to us once and for all. Millions of people on this planet live happy life, productive lives, moral lives, purposeful lives, lives of hope and meaning without deluding ourselves that there is these invisible personalities populating some supernatural realm. We are quite happy, thank you. Without that belief, based on all of that, that is more likely to reject the proposition than to accept it. Peace.